Thanks all for tuning into Dreamcatchers, where we make things happen. Dreamcatchers was formally launched to unlock the hidden potential in successful, self-motivated individuals who desire to take their life's work to the next level but need support to evolve. We are a collective group of professionals with various backgrounds that use our talents to assist those individuals in realizing their wildest dreams by providing education, inspiration, and direction. This podcast is where we share the lessons we've learned along the way to catching our dreams and give you some context around the how and the why to each approach to put you further ahead on the journey to catching your dreams. Are you ready?
It's one thing to read about it or to see it. It's another thing to have been in it. And so with, this podcast and with this platform and venture that we're about to go down, I want to reach out to all of my fellow soldiers, my battle buddies, to any veterans out there, to let you know that there is a group that's willing to jump in the foxhole with you and help see you out the dark, right? You're not alone. You have support, you have resources out there, and there are people that have been through what you've been through, and I want to find those folks and be able to give a voice so that, others can put some tools in their toolkit to help them figure out how to navigate and manage their way through. Hey everyone, this is Greg Washington, and I have with me Jerome Myers, and welcome to our podcast, Guards Down, right? This is the unofficial name. We still have to figure that out, but we're getting started. We're just jumping right in. So Jerome, welcome.
Thanks, Greg. Good to be with you again. I think the last time I saw you was last Friday.
Yes, it was. And we were in Mississippi, giving a good history lesson that you wouldn't get in the books, huh?
No, I thought I wasn't paying attention in history class when we were sitting with the mayor, and she was breaking this down for us. I had no idea that people who were former slaves were in Congress before 1900. So,
right.
It's a pleasant awakening for me.
If you would give us kind of a rundown of course, yourself. I see you have, I took the red pill. Kind of tell us about that and tell us what you're doing, because I think that'll lead into that visit as to why we went to Mississippi and got that history lesson.
Man, where do I begin? I think it was it was a cool Saturday afternoon where my mom was still asleep, and I came into this world and my dad gave me a name at Womack Army Hospital. Now, in all seriousness, I guess me and Greg went to school together. We went to high school together and played football for a number of years. And then he went off and left me. He abandoned me and went to West Point. And, it's a pretty special situation when you go to a school like that. You kind of get cut off from all of your past ties. And fast forward a number of years later, we've reconnected. While Greg was off being a hero, I was goofing off, man. I played football at North Carolina A&T, got an engineering degree. I graduated from there after a few years, went and worked for a power company as a structural engineer. Did a bunch of consulting. And then my last job in corporate America, I built a $20 million business in about a year. And I went through a bunch of heartache over the holidays because it seemed like every time we got to around Thanksgiving time, it was time to lay people off. And for me, that just didn't work. It seemed like we weren't valuing people as humans. And so I decided to leave corporate America and start doing my own thing. While I was building that business, I was doing some investing on the side in real estate, and decided to take that and my desire to help people develop full time. And so what that really looks like is I have a company called the Myers Development Group, and we develop people in places. And kind of my thesis on life is, and it's not kind of, it is my thesis on life, is dreams should be real. And there were a few movies that I watched over the course of the years, but one of my favorites was The Matrix. And if you know anything about the storyline, the protagonist, Neo, is put in a situation where he has to choose a red pill or a blue pill. And he chose the red pill, which exposed him to the systems and the programming and showed him how people are not actually living their best life. They're just kind of going through the motions. And so the shirt that I'm wearing and Greg's wearing is signifying to the world that we took the red pill as well. We're going to live our best lives. We're going to make an impact on the world in a real way. And we're looking to help as many people as we possibly can go down that same path. And so Greg actually got his shirt a few weeks ago when I convinced him to come to a remote location in the military. He might have felt like he was back in Afghanistan or something when he was driving up. But we do a 30-hour intensive retreat called the Powwow at the Mountaintop. And we try to cut people off from everything that's familiar and put them in a space where they can reconnect with who they truly are at their core. And Greg came to, this is our third or fourth one, I think it's our third one. And he got a smile back. And it gave me intense joy to see that. Greg's been through a lot over the years, and for me to be able to help him get back to that is just super exciting. And, you know, if I back up to before that happened, Greg walked out the door of a pretty high paying job earlier this year. And I was fortunate enough to get that call after he made the decision. I wish he would have talked to me before, but I got the call after he walked out the door. He said, "Man, I just quit my job." And I said, "Okay, so now what?" And we've been on this path, and this podcast, Guards Down, is a manifestation of this journey that Greg has us on, and I'm along for the ride. So, you know, if we talk about Mounds Bayou, Mississippi, which is where we were last week, that was the place that Greg went for his retreat. That's his quiet place. That's a safe place. And he invited me into that space. And it's powerful. It's life-changing. And I'm here for all of it, man. I want to enjoy all the experiences and see Greg grow this mission that he started onto. And I don't want to steal the thunder, but I do want to build anticipation for what's about to happen, because I truly see it, and I think it's amazing.
I feel you. Thank you for all them accolades. I've known Jerome for a good number of years, and he is truly one of my best friends. And so along this journey of trying to figure out like who I am and what I want to do and be in my purpose, it was hard to try and figure that out after the military, because my whole mindset, you know, at the age of 17, 18 was to be a career soldier. So when Uncle Sam sent me to the house, I really had to sit down and figure out who I was, and at the core, you know, what was my purpose. And so along the way, you know, there were some struggles that I had to endure and overcome, and getting to the point where I actually felt comfortable in me and who I am, that took some soul searching. So I went through, you know, a good number of jobs where I felt like, you know, I had a purpose or was trying to find a purpose. And it was pretty hard being a soldier, or coming from being a soldier, an officer in the Army, having led troops and, you know, taking care of soldiers and their families, to now sitting in, you know, the corporate world in a little cubicle or office, and try to make, you know, the same difference and impact, right? So I found that to be difficult, and I didn't like it, right? So then I went out and tried this entrepreneur thing, and I love being an entrepreneur. I've gotten to doing, you know, taxes. I've grown into the cannabis industry as well. And now I kind of want to just give back. And so meeting with Jerome, and going to the powwow has really helped me kind of define and shape that purpose. And so Jerome was the first one that I called when I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore because I don't feel like I'm actually living. And so when I called him, you know, he woke up and was like, "You did what?" And so it was eye opening. It was shocking, but you have to do that sometimes um, in order to make change, right? Because if you stay complacent, if you continue to um, make excuses for why you're not fulfilling your purpose, then you will never grow out of that complacency. And so I felt like I just needed to uproot myself and head in a direction that, you know, I feel is my purpose. And so Jerome pushed me to start my first podcast. And so I interviewed with him. I did another one, and now I'm doing this. And the reason why is because I want to share my journey and my story and my growth about being a veteran, serving my country, and having come back for war and all the collateral damage that comes with it. And so my goal is to be able to reach out and help other veterans and other friends and family and loved ones that are out there, to kind of give some tools and to give a venue and a way for them to overcome, you know, their obstacles and start to live and enjoy, you know, their life. Right. So
Yeah. So the way I would characterize it, watching this evolution over the past 4 or 5 months, is Greg's successfully figured out how to get through these challenges. And while he's still working through a lot of the struggles, he's further along than what most people are or have been able to figure out on their own. And so I think he's uniquely qualified to lead people out of that space. And if I think about kind of that erratic change in his employment, there was no build up. There was no, I'm frustrated, I can't do anything. It's just him sitting there and like, I'm wasting my life away. I have more time here. And I've seen people whose lives ended more quickly than I think they should have. And I guess nobody can actually determine how long a person should live other than, you know, the creator. But the fact of the matter is he's still breathing, he still has breath, and he wants to make an impact. He's seeking significance in the world. And I think he probably gets that the struggles that people face, they do it quietly. And I guess you're taught, and we should really dig into this because I'm not a soldier. You know, my dad was a soldier and a few of my friends went into the military. And it's crazy because when I think about where we grew up, Greg, I mean, you really had three options. You go work at the tire plant, you go in the military, you sell drugs. Like that was kind of the path when we look at, you know, our peers. And yeah, sure, there were some other things. You go do retail or some other stuff, but the people who actually were successful, those were kind of the three paths they took. So when you go into the military, they kind of break down in all the old thoughts and they teach you to be, I don't want to call it a robot, but they teach you to be tough. They teach you to be macho. They teach you to be unmoved. And I boil all that down to you're numb, right? You don't feel, and so you're not fazed when things happen that would shock most people. But when you're out of that space, I don't know if that still works. And so what happens then? How do you come back to your family after being in a combat zone? How do you reconnect with people when you've seen the people closest to you lose their lives? These are super heavy issues. And if you've listened to the Dreamcatchers podcast, and you know, we're going to put this on our feed because I think it's paramount that people hear this message. You can hear the story that Greg shared with us on the day that he left his job. And you can hear Ray and I talk about the people that we've lost to gun violence or suicide. And there's a ton of collateral damage that comes with a person exiting, especially if it's premature or, you didn't have sudden and you're unprepared for it. So for those folks who are in that, and you're in an area where it's likely, right? If you're in war, it's likely that somebody's not going to make it back. So you start to distance yourself from those people so that you don't feel the brunt of the force. And the thing that I've learned in my journey is that you can't numb the hurt without numbing the enjoyment. It's not one way. Like if you govern it, you govern all of it. And so you can't really experience life at its fullest if you're trying to make sure that you don't get hurt. And numbing shows up in a number of different ways. It can be alcohol, it can be women, it can be gambling, it can be food. I mean, people cope with so many different drugs and they just end up walking through life as zombies. And it's funny because we'll give children Ritalin and some of them become walking zombies. And part of what Greg's been working on, and it's something that excites me, is kind of alternative treatments for the people who are struggling, the people who are hurting, the people who are trying to find their way but lost, so that they can actually experience life instead of walking around sedated.
You kind of hit the nail on the head, and everything that you just said. That is the steps, right? That just about every soldier I've met has had to take. And so it's one thing to read about it or to see it. It's another thing to have been in it. And so with this podcast and with this platform and venture that we're about to go down, I want to reach out to all of my fellow soldiers, my battle buddies, to any veterans out there, to let you know that there is a group that's willing to jump in the foxhole with you and help see you out the dark, right? You're not alone. You have support, you have resources out there, and there are people that have been through what you've been through. And I want to find those folks and be able to give a voice so that, others can put some tools in their toolkit to help them figure out how to navigate and manage their way through, whatever they're going through. So Jerome has done this with me through Dreamcatchers, and it has really been eye-opening and an amazing experience, because to be around some people that get you and that support your dream and will motivate you when you feeling down, out, and in a sense helpless, it's re-energizing. And so yes, I did find my smile, and I found it because I was happy to know that I got a brother that will have my back from beginning to end. And I know being out there.
Without question, you're not alone. We're here for you. And we want to see your dream manifest, right? It's all about catching the dream. It's not about chasing it. We want to complete stuff. There's a bunch of people going from one thing to another and not finishing anything. And you feel empty when you do that because you don't actually get the dopamine hit of accomplishment. So, Dreamcatchers has got its own mission, and it's too broad to market. And I get all kinds of criticisms from the business gurus. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of what they say is true. But the reality of the situation is, had I couched Dreamcatchers as, hey, I help engineers or people with technical backgrounds become real estate investors, and we help them make that transition by giving them tools and techniques that I use to make the transition myself, Greg never would have fit in. And I don't know how Greg would have found a smile had we not showed up at the time we showed up to extract him from the matrix and start the reprogramming so that he can walk in his significance and be the light.
Hey guys, back in 2016, me and the team decided to formalize Dreamcatchers as an organization that can help people achieve their wildest dreams. If this is you, please visit our website at dreamshouldbereal.com in order to find out the details of our services and how we can help you become a Dreamcatcher. Talk to you soon.
I was in a really dark place back in 2010, and I didn't know how I was going to get out. But I went through this process of reprogramming and rebooting and re-empowering myself instead of waiting for somebody to come save me. And as my mom always tells me, if you start pushing your car down the road, somebody will get out and help you. And, you know, we saw that when we were on the way to the restaurant in New Orleans last Friday. The guy's car broke down and he was getting out. He had just got out to start pushing his car. And Greg literally said, I want to stop and help him, but we don't have enough time. And, you know, had we had extra 5 or 10 minutes, like I literally made my flight with 2 minutes to spare. Like I was the last person on the flight. They closed the door right after I walked in. Had we had the extra 5 minutes, I think each one of us would have gotten out the truck to help the guy push the car out the road. But, you know, if he would have just sat there with his flashers on, we would have just drove around him like everybody else did. And so we're here and we're seeking you. What you're seeking is seeking you. And I don't know how this message is going to get to the people that it needs to get to, but we're present. And I believe that through our networks that people will share this, because it doesn't matter who you are. I truly believe that you're impacted by the military in some way, shape, or form. And this targeted effort to help that demographic is far overdue. There's too many people who end up on the street after experiencing some traumatic event in the military. There's too many people committing suicide because going back into that place that they were in and not having the tools to do it and feeling like nobody understands. I feel like it's cruel. And so I'm excited to hear Greg talk to folks about their journey, their stories, the troubles, the pain, and hopefully we can use these as tools for people to have conversation starters. Hey, I heard this on this podcast. Is this what you're going through? Greg's got a ton of great ideas, and you know, this will be the platform to roll them out. And hopefully this will spread like wildfire because I know there's a need in the marketplace for it.
That's it. So before we go, tell us more about the powwow.
So, as I mentioned, so the powwow is a 30-hour intensive immersion event where we bring people in from multiple industries who are striving for that next level in their life, but they know something's missing. One of the ways that I characterize it is you've got a bunch of lone wolves on their own mountains and they're howling and people are howling back, but they can't see them, they can't touch them, they aren't there in a network form. So I invite everybody to come down off of their own mountain and come up a mountain with me. And we meet in some form of a cabin in the Smoky Mountains somewhere. And we go through some of the most deep, vulnerable conversations you can have. It's a place where you can let your guard down. You can express the things that you've been struggling with. You can talk about the questions you've been asking yourself, but haven't been able to find the way to talk to other people about it. And know that you're not going to be judged, and know that anybody who offers you something is doing it out of love and not manipulation. And the goal is to, one, let people know they're not alone. They're not the only one to experience it or feel that way. two, to encourage people to be vulnerable and to feel, because that is where you truly get to make connection. And then I think the third thing is to really allow folks to see other examples of people who are performing at a high level, but have their challenges, right? And I think that gives them further confirmation that, hey, this is normal. Like, I'm not going to have everything figured out, and everything in my life isn't going to be perfect. And while I'm striving for that and moving towards it, because I'm not there doesn't mean that I'm a failure. Everybody there is, a high achiever. They've done some amazing things, and they're working on some even bigger things. And in that, they're going to need support. They're going to need encouragement. They're going to need access to people outside of the network that they already have. And the goal is for everybody to connect in some way. And so we're going from a hub where I invited all these people to come hang out with me to a spider web where a bunch of individual relationships and connections are being made by people all across the country in various industries who have, they have access to resources and ideas that other folks might not be able to get to. And I think the biggest goal is to help people manifest their dream. I think everything happens in two phases. One, it happens in your mind. You see it, you can feel it, you get this thought that maybe it could happen, but then there's this process of actually going through the labor and birthing the dream and making it available for the world. And that's what we're going through with Greg. You can call me a doula if you want, right? He's pushing this thing out. No medicine, no numbing. We're gonna get the baby out the natural way. Because we realize there's no shortcuts, and we realize that the only way that the baby's gonna be as strong as it possibly can be is if he pushes it out. And so, and once we deliver it, we got to nurture this thing and grow it and turn it into its own self-sustaining being. But, in this infancy period, we want to be there with him so that when he has those sleepless nights, he knows, hey, it's part of the process. And it's funny because I think back to when my girls were born, like, you think you're doing everything wrong. The baby starts crying and you can't figure out how to get it to be quiet. And eventually you figure it out, but you have to go through the process. And if somebody's there to take it away from you, then you don't actually get the sense of accomplishment of working through the struggle. And we're there to encourage, we're there to help where we need help, we're there to listen when it's, hard, because there's nothing easy about creating something new. And we believe that in doing that, Greg ends up with this amazing thing that is a testament to, and testament might not be the right word. I think culmination is probably a better word, a culmination of his life work, right? He's went through all these experiences for some reason, and I can't think of a better reason for that than the things that we're talking about. We were at dinner New Year's Eve, I think, and we had this conversation about, being able to relate to people. Do you have to go through experience in order to be able to tell somebody how to get through or to guide them through it? And Greg had one opinion, I had another, and we were talking to a young person who was getting ready to be in a leadership role. And, I don't know that there's ever one way to do something. I think there's probably multiple ways to skin every cat. And the goal really is to help people get there as quickly as they can and eliminate a bunch of treadmill running when they can actually be outside running in the elements and enjoying all of the seasons, even if it's raining. So, the powwow is that space where I go to get refueled. I get extreme fulfillment out of seeing people find that breakthrough, get clarity on the things that they've been thinking about. I get an extreme excitement from seeing people sow into one another not because they want something from them other than to see that person be successful. And I want to do more of these. I want to do them around the country. And I think there's a real opportunity for that. And I'm excited about the way that Greg's going to modify it and implement it in his business model, because I believe that it's truly the fastest way to transformation and getting people out of the rut and on their path to success or greatness or whatever word you want to insert there to signify that they've made their dream reality.
Yeah. And with that, because you hit a great point of being refueled, right? And so I kind of want you to touch on that, because whether it's in business or in life, even if you have something figured out, you still, hit other obstacles and road bumps, and you get exhausted and tired. And so being able to refuel, right? Re-engage, or even happen to start over. Your platform is built in such a way where you have continuous support. Right? And so just looking at it from that standpoint, it's an amazing feeling. Like for me, like when I went, and even afterwards, I now have a group of guys that I can call on and are checking on me on a regular basis. And we've established this bond to where, all of these lone wolves are now in a pack, right? And we're pushing each other to go. And so just that continuous effort and course correction, right, to make sure that we're on the right path and that, we're getting from point A to point B without wasting, so many steps. That's the key, right? So to all the listeners out there, we want you to know that you have a very strong support system in our group, with Dreamcatchers. Jerome, if you would, please tell everybody how they can contact you and how they can see more and learn more about Dreamcatchers and what you're doing.
Yeah, man. If you're interested in the powwow, the website's up. It's powwow@themountaintop.com. You can apply to participate there. We review applications. It's always a really small group. It's always less than 15 folks. If you want to learn more about Dreamcatchers, the website is dreamsshouldbereal.com. And, if you want to reach out to me, we got a contact us form on the Dreamcatchers website. And so that's the best way to get in contact with me. And then we can go from there, set up and schedule a call and kind of talk through what your interests are and what you're trying to accomplish and figure out how we can get you on that path. Because, the powwow might not be the right thing for you. Coaching may be the right thing for you. Access to tools may be the right thing for you. And so nothing about what we're doing is scalable. I realize that. And it's a point of criticism for many of the people that mentor me and guide me. But I'm trying to figure out how to make the deepest impact. And so what we're doing is high touch and, low quantity. And the belief is that there's a ripple effect. If we can make a deep impact on you, then you go back to your community and make a big impact. We're seeing it happen with Greg, and we're seeing it happen with a number of other people in the tribe. So love to get in contact with you guys and see how we can help you move forward. Because right or wrong, even if I don't get a penny from you catching your dream, it gives me proof of concept that dreams can be real. And I can continue with this thesis that dreams should be real.
That's it. Well, that ripple effect is definitely starting to take place, and it's going to turn into a big wave. And so I've took the red pill, and I am on my journey to share my story about my friends and and the folks I call family that were in the military. And so you'll be hearing more from me and from Jerome. But I appreciate you, man, coming on early this morning and talking with me. You have been a true inspiration and a great friend. So thank you. All right. And to all the listeners out there, I hope you enjoy your day, and you'll hear from us again. All right. This is Guards Down. We're out.
If you want to learn more about Dreamcatchers, please visit the website at dreamshouldbereal.com. If you can think of someone who would benefit from these types of opportunities and are willing to share what we're doing with them, we would greatly appreciate it.